Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for coming. First of all, you guys, I don't think they've had a talk with this many people, so shout out to you guys for coming and caring about what we have to say up here. We all three of our brands, and we have like a lot to say and a lot of good things to learn. I think we've all seen this industry from a different lens, and there's a lot going on up here. So this is the first of 3 TED X Hall of Flowers talks. We got this one super informative. It's a little different take. Caleb helped me with this one. Typically we kind of talk, I get to know the person that we're talking with in front of you guys, and you take them through the beginning to the end. And this one's more focused on business. There's a lot to take out of this, especially if you're an entrepreneur or an owner operator, or just want to move up and learn to be better at what you do. So this will be a really fun one. My name is Ted Lidie. I'm the founder of a brand called AlienLabs. Everyone says this about their brand, but it's true when I say it. AlienLabs is one of the top brands across several states. A huge thanks to Connected California. So these are my 2 guests, Caleb, the CEO and co-founder of Connected Cannabis, and Ryan Bartholomew, who is the CEO too and founder of Doja Pack, right? So give them a round of applause, please. So navigating multiple states, multiple industries, really, multiple countries is not easy. When they asked me to do some talks, the only 2 people, I was like, initially it was no question. I had no hesitation, Caleb and Ryan, for sure. So thank you guys for being up here with me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
So at Connected, we're a little different. We kind of operate our own grows in multiple states, which does make us, this is kind of a naughty word, but a multi-state operator. Although we care a lot about the culture and we keep close to the legacy markets, it is still, become kind of a cliche thing to say that MSOs, they're not good, but, we kind of buck that trend. So I know when people say that, they're not talking about us, but they are in a way. Doja, same thing, multi-state operator. A little different than us, but not all the way different. Owns a grow out in Michigan where they grow their weed, and then a bunch of other states. We'll get to that. There's pros and cons to doing both things, licensing deals and operating in your own state. Those are both tough, and we're going to chat about what those pros and cons are, how you can overcome them, and again, just help me thank these guys by giving them a big round of applause for coming. All right, so first question. What states are you guys both in? So Caleb, you can answer this one first, and then Ryan, what states are you in?
Go East Coast to West. We're in Florida. We're in Arizona. And we are definitely in California.
Big time. What about you?
We're Florida, Michigan, Arizona. Active. Those are the active states,
Yeah.
And then California, of course. And then we have plants in flower in Pennsylvania, a deal that's just recently been signed in Washington, and then talks in Nevada, and then I actually go live in Massachusetts next week.
Nice. Hell yeah, man. So what is that, 8?
It's 8 states.
That's sick. Do you guys think that California will remain like the dominant player in every market they go into? Because as we've seen, we came into Arizona, done every brand. In my view, every brand that's out there really wants to be a California brand, even if they put their own spin on what that means. They want to be like us. Do you think that will continue to matter, and will California brands continue to dominate in each state that they go to? Caleb, you can answer first, and Ryan too.
So I don't think there's any guarantee that because you're a California brand and you go to another state that you're going to dominate. But I think it is a guarantee that when you look at any state where they've got a strong consumer base that knows what they're looking for, you're going to see California influence be the dominating factor, particularly on the premium shelves. That's for sure. I mean, California has long influenced the cannabis market internationally. It's not going to be any different in any state, unless for some reason they're hung up on some hemp bullshit or some THCA and liking that. But I think California influence will continue to carry the day for the foreseeable future, because there's no way another state is going to be able to tell the same story. And the stories are what help drive these brands and drive the consumer loyalty, like to the true consumers, the people that really care and are interested where their products are coming from, and who is producing them, who's behind them. And I think that's one thing that's unique about the cannabis market. People like authenticity. California born, bred, authentic weed. Started
Love
here.
that. Very true, man. The authenticity piece is very under talked about. The authentic brands that come from California and know how to produce quality, those will continue to dominate, in my view. Ryan, what do you think?
I think I have a lot of the licensing deals because of the origin in California. You know, I think it matters because people like look at the California brands as being kind of like the spearhead of the movement, as far as like brands like Connected were around, you know, prior to most of these other states even having legislation to be legal. So it's like, you know, they look at us for standards and stuff. I feel like I think the cultural influence, like he said, of California is the strongest. And I don't think that's going to change. I think that'll always, even if the market here isn't as lucrative at certain points as other markets, I still think the influence that California has over the market, over the flavor profiles, over the packaging design, you know, all that is coming from here for sure.
I do want to give a shout out to Michigan for their packaging designs, though. Me and Caleb went out there and checked the market out, and they were crushing it on packaging. I mean, you know, it wasn't like utility-wise, but just like design, aesthetic standpoint, they really were crushing it. I was out there, I saw like a bag that was about a foot long, and it was Tom Brady with the head of a goat, just for an eighth. So, but it was sick. And then also they had a Sharpie. They literally just took a Sharpie and like they didn't literally hollow it out, but it was just a hollow Sharpie, and it was a permanent marker pre-roll packaging, which was very sick. I thought that was really cool. So you got 3 states for Connected, 8 for Ryan, and I know that you guys have been approached for many more than that. So how many times have you been approached with out-of-state or out-of-country opportunities, and why has it been a good decision to not go forward with some of those, despite maybe initially looking like good opportunities? Ryan, you could start.
I mean, I get approached about it a lot. Like I've been approached about it today, you know. But as far as I'm pretty selective of who I work with. If it's not like the network kind of has to come back to my network here. All the guys that I'm working with, like Florida, for instance, you know, Preferred Dave built that spot out. And
yeah,
it's kind of overseeing things, and like, you know, we know who's, you know, my partners in Arizona, obviously too, Jordan and them. So I'm pretty selective of who I work with. I get a lot of opportunities as far as people come, you know. But as far as we don't know, this hasn't been proven. A lot of times people come to me with big ideas. I don't want to be, you know, the person that you prove your concepts with and stuff. I'm pretty selective to work with people that are already operationally doing their thing the right way. You understand? For instance, like when we dropped in Florida, they told me 2 days before my first drop. I promoted it lightly on Instagram, and the first drop did, you know, 6 figures in the first few hours, and that was because of the infrastructure that they built, you know. Yep. And so that adds value to my brand. So, you know, I hope that I add value to their situation by bringing people in my ways too, but that was something that added value to my brand. So I think I'm very selective of who I work with. I think that it's been best not to work with some of these people. Initially, I had been approached by some of the, you know, more traditional, older school MSOs that we've seen not be so successful. So it's like, you know, I think in my head, if I would have worked with them, it may have gone bad. So, you know, you're only as good as who you work with. So.
That's so true, man. Great answer. Caleb, what about you?
I mean, the offers have been coming at us for quite some time. And in fact, inbound offers for expansion is how Connected was built before we even had the name. People heard about our success, and they came to us throwing licenses at us and throwing deals, and we took a lot of them. We learned a lot from those lessons, and then as things, you know, materialized in the recreational market and other states started to come online, we started to get a ton of offers. And I don't have a count, but you know, we spent a lot of time and energy trying to analyze these opportunities. And I'll be honest, like, there was so many points where the excitement of just another deal almost took over any rational thought process. And, for a number of reasons, those deals ended up not going through. And I can't look back at a single one and say, damn, I wish we did that one. Like, every opportunity never materialized into what it was, into what it was being proposed as. But that also had to do with the lack of, maturity in the market. And so fast forward to today, it's got to be in the 50, 60, 70 range that we've turned down, including multiple countries. And that also goes for acquisition offers. Like, hey, we want to buy you, we want to partner, we want to merge. And, we've said no to all of them. And we've spent countless hours and legal fees. And, one of the things I've learned in business and actually in life is being able to say no at the 11th hour. When a lot of work's been put in, when a lot of diligence has been done, and there's a lot of money on a piece of paper saying that that's what's going to come to fruition. And when you find that little tidbit of information that, you got to listen to your gut, and, we've said no to way more than we've said yes to. But right now there's a little bit of a change. I think there's a little bit of excitement, because of the proposed federal changes. How many times have we heard that? But there's actually real international activity going on that's interesting. They're shipping weed out of Canada. They're actually doing it in significant volumes to other countries. Germany's popping off from what I heard. I wasn't able to go, but I know this guy crushed it out there, like that Mary Jane conference. That was like a real deal cannabis culture represented like conference. And since then we've had some conversations with some folks out there, and it's real. It's goofy. They don't know what they're doing, and everyone's in a hurry, and everyone's tripping all over themselves. So we never, we don't want to be first. We've told ourselves that many times. I think there's very little value and a lot of risk in being first. Sometimes people are successful, but we've taken the stance that it's better to sit back and watch however people allocate capital, watch how other people negotiate, and then formulate a game plan after things are established, because how they appear they're going to start, how everyone thinks they're going to start, how it's proposed to start, how the regulations come out, all that shit gets wiped away. The whiteboard gets wiped clean, and new rules get written by whoever, the operators, the game, the competition. So we're being careful like we always have. And it's hard. I'm watching some of my homies race past. This dude used to buy weed off me back in the day at our shop, and now he's in 8 states. How does that make me feel? I wish him the best of luck. And he's got the energy, and he's got the right path, and he's approaching it the right way. But Connected is a different organization, and we have to approach things differently. So, we're excited. We're in a number of conversations. We always are. These are some of the most interesting conversations we've been in to date. So I'm confident we'll be in a few more states within the next 12 to 15 months. But if we're not, I'm totally fine with that too. There's a lot of wood to chop in California. There's so much opportunity in California still every day. No matter how much competition comes online, no matter how much saturation there is still opportunity to win and win bigger and better in California. And that's where we're from. And if you can prove it and you can do it in California and you can double down here, every other state should be a breeze. So we're ready for whatever comes at us.
Well said, man. What are some ways that you can kick the tires, so to speak, to see if a opportunity is good or just some bullshit? Ryan?
First of all, I wanted to say, just to clarify, us being in 8 states is different than the way that Caleb obviously operates. Is just for the people that don't know, I work on a licensing deal basis where I work with different cultivators. These guys actually operate in the other states. Me and Ted were playing around with acronyms earlier.
Yeah, MSB, MSO.
So we kind of consider my operation more of a multi-state brand than a multi-state operator, because I don't actually operate the facilities in the way these guys do. So I just wanted to clarify, that 8 states for somebody who's doing it the way I'm doing it versus 8 states that's doing it the way that you're doing it is a much different scenario, So
yeah, but you've managed to maintain quality and founder presence. And
I appreciate
it's
that.
a nimble way
you
to
set the
approach
you set that tone for us. So
okay, you guys hug it out.
Okay, so to answer your question, Ted, I think that the best thing you can do is kind of just like, well, with me, I mean, if you can't bring me some weed that I like to smoke, first off, like, then the deal's all bad, you know? So most of the time, these guys, like, for instance, Fear Booth in Michigan, you know, he was pulling up on me constantly, giving me weed, you know, we were talking the talk, you know, burning joints together and shit like that. So it's like, by the time when he comes to the table and is like, hey, I got this opportunity, then it makes a lot of sense to me because we've kicked the tires a lot already.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess, you know, it just comes down to like the quality of the product. You know, do these people have the finished product expertise to be able to produce the level that Connected and Doja needs to be produced at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Caleb, what about you?
I forgot the question.
How do you kick the tires, Caleb?
Yeah. How do you see if something's
thank you.
bullshit or real?
Yeah, man. It's constantly an evolving process, but one of the first things we
hold
do.
the mic like this.
Oh, like this?
Yeah, but just straight.
This doesn't work?
No. It
What
does
the
until you
fuck?
like fall it away like that.
2024.
See? Oh my God.
Well, that's not comfortable. Okay.
It doesn't have to be straight, but
so
closer,
one of the
maybe.
first things we got to do is get out and actually kick the tires. It's great having a nice Zoom meeting. Everyone's all buttoned up and stats are on the fucking thing. All that shit doesn't mean a goddamn thing unless the facility that you're going to walk into first is workable. I can't tell you the number of facilities that we've walked into. $30 million was spent here. You could take it over. We don't want it. How the fuck do you spend $30 million on this? You got perpetual flower. You got one big perpetual flower building. Like, you read Jorge Cervantes' first book and like then build this off of that. It's fucking insane. But there's facilities like that all over the place. It doesn't matter the amount of money that's spent, and I've actually been able to notice a correlation. The more money spent on a facility, the less workable it is, the more fucked up it is, and the more expectation there is that you should just be able to jump in and perform out of it. So we got to get out, we got to check it out, we got to kick the tires, and then there's like some retrofit cost, right? No matter what, no matter how big it is. Almost nowhere has under canopy lights that we put on the map. We got to make sure we got to add that in. Do they got the power for that? We got to make sure they got the power. So we've been to I don't know how many facilities, and they're not workable. They're fucked up. Like, beautiful looking when you get behind the, under the engine or under the hood, and it doesn't work. Let's assume the facility's dialed. Then you got to talk to the team, and we're talking to people of all ranges, right? We're talking to people that have been in the game for however long. We're talking to people that wrote a check, and then their grower stepped out on them, and like they're sitting here trying to figure out like what the difference between rosin and resin is, and what's a sativa, what's indica. I mean, I'm having these conversations with people worth $100 million, and their look of fear is in their face, like this thing's about to burn. And so it's got to be a workable team. It doesn't matter. I don't care what they look like, where they're from. I care about like what is their attitude, what are their expectations, what are their willingness to be real about the situation they're in, and how are we going to be able to work together on this? Or are they going to be pointing the finger the whole time while we're trying to clean up their mess? So those are the two most important factors to assessing a deal at this point.
It's funny. I've been in some like Zoom meetings with Caleb, and he has a really good poker face. But sometimes these people start saying shit, and I have to turn off my camera because I'll just laugh at his face, like he just wears it. Of all the states that you're in, which is your favorite, and which do you think has the highest quality? Caleb, you can start with this one.
I mean, I'm born and raised California. What else am I supposed to say? I love it.
That was a trick question.
Yeah, it's like I love this place. I love the challenges that California throws at us. I love the competition that is constantly coming. You talk to everyone, it's got to slow down. People got to go out of business. Actually, they're adding more lights. Actually, they're climbing in the data. Like, none of that shit's coming true. The people that are falling off I never heard of in the first place. There's more fucking people growing better weed, coming stronger, coming harder than ever before, and I like that because I don't want to get up and think that every day is going to be easy, because every time that's happened to me, every time I feel like we're on top or I'm on top, fucking someone comes right behind you and knocks your feet out from under you. So I got to be kept on my toes, and California does that. I do love Arizona. Arizona's like this little kind of unruly cousin of California that like tries to pretend like they're not related, but they really are. I love the Arizona market. I love the consumers. They want to learn. They want to smoke the best. They welcomed us with open arms, and now all the best of California's coming to Arizona. Florida is a fucking whole different beast. It has so much potential. The fucked up, vertically integrated, whitewashed medical system is a disaster, and it's producing good numbers, surprisingly, but Florida has the biggest potential by far, I think, of any state in the country. So I'm excited for
Amendment 3.
Amendment 3 might bring. It's going to be a close one. And then states that we're not in, I can't wait to touch down in New York. Our products all over the place baby. There. I don't know how the hell that's happening. I can't believe it. It's just unbelievable. But there's fucking... It's so far away. How does it get there? And how do the neon signs look just like our logo? Who did that? Good job. But I can't wait to actually be there and have us be responsible for putting it on those shelves.
Yeah, the New York shit is funny because, obviously our shit gets over there, but, we don't make the signs. We don't send the signs. We don't name the stores AlienLabs that you see when you walk down every fucking street. So it is crazy, but I love that too. What about you, Ryan?
Favorite market? I mean, I'm partial to California also, but I like the Michigan. Michigan quality for me is really good because my partners in Michigan are on the top tier of, what they do. They're
family.
He's one of us.
Hall of Flowers attendees.
Shut the fuck
this is
up.
A friendly reminder that we
I agree. I love. Shout out to
wait your turn.
Yeah, dude, we're talking.
Please take this time to finalize any last.
Yes, Sphere Booth crushed it out there. Me and Caleb, like I said, we did a cool market tour. Bought a bunch of shit. That was easily the best weed. I told him, you want AlienLabs and Connected? Let me know. We'll come out too.
But as far as as excitement, I'm excited about New York too. My friend Scott Wizard Trees just got his license out there. New York's coming on. And New York's coming online in a major way for sure. Mechanics Farms over here too.
Oh, our Mechanics Farms down here. What's up, dude?
Yeah, man, we got a good presence out there. A lot of good cultivators. You remember we brought through.
Oh,
sure. So
Sensei,
the homies, they
TKS,
just got there. They were on that
shit,
list too. Yeah, they were on that list too.
Dr. Dankenstein, Sensei Cultivation, Collector. They're all doing, and Mechanics Farms. There's a lot of cool growers out there. New York overall just reminds me of California. When California was 215 and fun and cool and exciting, and it is still, but in a different way. And they're all hungry, and I love to see that in a market, just the hungriness. Yeah, that was a trick question though. It's California is obviously the best, but our Arizona facility. They crush, man. They love it, and you can go out to Arizona and buy AlienLabs, and it's insanely fire. And the same with these guys. There's really two big players out there from California, which is going to be Project Pax, which has Wizard Trees, Preferred Gardens, Doja, Made, and then us, Connected and AlienLabs. So, are there any markets that you're not in? Caleb, you kind of covered this, but I'll ask again. Are there any markets that you're not in that look like good opportunities for your brands? Ryan, you can answer first.
I mean, I think the international thing that he was mentioning is good, but I agree with him as far as maybe not, being the first to market. But as far as I think Germany's going to be a big market when they get the regulations ironed out. I think we all know Texas is going to be a really big market.
Texas is going to go insane.
So obviously that one, I have aspirations to go there too. So.
Hell yeah, Caleb, what about you?
So anytime anyone says it's an MSO-dominated market, limited license, can't break through, can't get shelf space, that's where I want to go. I want to go to Illinois. I want to fucking show them that California brands will live and prosper and we'll break through that MSO barrier. I want to go to Ohio. I want to go to Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. I want to be in those states where everyone's like, you can't do it. Nevada, who's going to crack that code? Why is there no fucking good weed? I mean, I can't say for sure there's not no good weed. I haven't checked, but
I can.
There's no weed brands that I've heard of that I know to be good. Let me just clarify that. Not hating. I'm just stating that something is missing. What the fuck? Is the mafia still in control and they're growing all the boof? Something's got to crack out there. So anytime someone says you shouldn't go there, it's too hard, that's where I want to go.
Love that answer. If you have identical SOPs, what are some reasons that the quality of cannabis can differ from state to state? And how do you maintain a baseline of quality? Because both of your guys' brands stand for the utmost quality. Ryan, you can answer that one first.
I don't have identical SOPs across the board.
Yeah, I guess that's
so
true.
you know, it's ideally that would be the case. But I mean, as far as brand quality standards, I mean, it's just about, once again, who you work with, working with quality producers that understand what the product needs to be like, so that even if I'm not on the ground every batch to batch, you know, I try to QC every batch, but it's not possible to QC every
Right.
batch, and so you have to have somebody that, like like Jay from Project Pax, or you know, or like Brian in Florida. It's like you got to have somebody on the ground to kind of like, you know, be able to speak the QC language. You know,
That you trust
we
knows
bulk a
what
lot
they're
of batches
talking
out.
about.
And a lot of batches don't get packaged and they just get bulked. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure. Caleb, what about you?
First of all, I feel like that was also a little bit of a trick question, because standardized SOPs, like, what does that mean? Does that mean they're written down on a piece of paper? Does that mean that the same people's teaching it? Does that mean there's ongoing training? Is it duplicated? Like, first and foremost, standardizing SOPs is really challenging, and we're constantly reiterating, trying to figure it out, trying to get something that's repeatable and teachable in every state. And that is one of the hardest things we've ever tried to do. And you know that we're still doing it all the time.
Yep.
Like, you know, Ted and I QC'd 100% every batch that came out of California, and still does. I don't make it all the time. Ted picks up the slack. He's got a better eye than I do anyways. But, you know, that wasn't happening in Arizona. That wasn't happening in Florida. It's not going to happen in the new states we go to. How do we make this streamlined? And so we came up with an incredibly complex, but apparently it's easy to operate. They gave me the presentation. I glazed over.
I could see
took
this
a
guy's
nap.
stars
I was
going
like,
around
what
this
the
guy's
fuck
head like
is
a
this?
cartoon when he was
Some
telling us.
science shit. But it's working, and all of the quality improved. But part of ensuring quality is letting your team knowing that you have this expectation and that you're watching, and that they're always going, you know, you got little spies. It's like, because in the end of the day, there's humans involved and it's human nature. And like, you know, people tend to like fall off and slide and kind of forget what they were taught. Especially in this business, everyone is high around the clock, right? And so it's like hard to get people to remember stuff. That's myself included. So, you know, it's about instilling quality and consistency in your culture, and then following it up with standardized SOPs that you're constantly checking back in with. It does you no good to write a whole book, drop it off, say now you got the roadmap,
right,
you're good to go.
Wildflowers.
Because 6 months later you're going to show
are
back up and be like,
now
what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And so you've got to provide continued support, continued training. So it's the whole picture, but it starts in the culture, and that's one of the hardest places for it to be retained. So that's what we're always working on.
Yeah, I'm not always the most well-liked. I've gotten much better at delivering the message that this shit sucks, but it's still hard because you don't want to hurt your growers' feelings. I mean, dude, growers are like the most feelings-oriented person you could ever deal with. You're like, hey, man, this really missed the mark, and then they'll be mad at you for weeks. I've had it happen. So everyone has different reasons for wanting to enter a state. What are some things you use to weigh those decisions? I know, like, for us, you know, we have a little chart, but what is on that chart, Caleb? Like, can you talk more about like our ranking system?
First, I need to comment about that grower comment, because I used to be a grower. Dude, imagine they're carrying that baby around with them for like a trimester and a half,
Yeah.
and then they finally give birth to it, and you're like, that's an ugly baby. I don't want that baby. Get it out of here. They're just like, damn, dude, you said my baby's ugly. Like,
Yeah,
they
I
put
get it,
so
but
much
still, you know.
blood, sweat, and tears into that. Some of that shit's out of their control, but I get it. You got to deliver the message kindly, but you got to deliver it firmly and consistently. Sorry, what was the question?
Everyone has different reasons for wanting to enter a state. What are some things that you use to weigh that decision?
I want to see what the competitive landscape is, and like, we want to enter Michigan because everyone's there. That
Yeah.
means it's interesting and exciting, and it will be a challenge. I want to be in Illinois because no one's there. So it just really depends, but it comes down to a challenge, and it comes down to like, how is the consumer going to accept it? What are the market dynamics today? What do we think they're going to be like in the future? What's the prospect of the neighboring states likely legalizing? Because some of those states, like one of the reasons Michigan's banging so hard that a lot of people don't tend to mention is the states around it that don't have shit, or they've got completely overtaxed and overregulated low quality boof. So you gotta analyze that. Like a 500 light facility in Michigan might make sense today, but if some of those other states come online or change their tax structure, it's a totally different ball game. So you got to look at the whole picture, and once again, it comes back to the team. We don't have the cash flow, we don't have the MSO bankroll to go in and just plop down 10 million on a new facility in every state. So we need to forge partnerships, and so it's just like, where is there a good partnership opportunity? If they've sought us out, and that's usually the case, it starts there.
Ryan, what about you?
He said the same thing he said.
Yeah,
He
for
said
sure.
I don't chase them; they come to me.
Yeah.
I don't chase them. But
I
it's
love
like
that.
it's just same thing. Is one of my friends that I trust have something going on in a new state? If they do, then I'm probably going to go to the state with them.
Yeah.
That's kind of seems to be the common theme right now.
Does THC testing remain consistent across all states?
Like the numbers, you mean?
How about does it remain consistent across the same batch?
Yeah,
No?
I know, but we see it in California, in Arizona,
In
and
California,
Florida.
people don't even want to take it if it's not if it tests under 25%. So
Yep.
it kind of like has made to where my selection process is different a little bit now, because I'm like, well, this is really good, but it might not,
Yeah,
So
for
that's,
sure.
that's definitely one thing that I've noticed.
Do buyers?
Well, hold on. Let me ask you. Sorry, I know
No,
you're
you're fine.
asking the questions here, but I got a question.
No, it's good.
How many amazing phenos?
I know,
that
I like all
before
the
you
stuff
knew
that's
the
under
THC
20.
content, were you like, this is fire, this smokes, this fucking checks all the boxes?
It's not me that feels that way.
No, I know, but that's my point.
It's
Is
the
like,
buyers
we got to
and the
break free of
customers.
this.
I know, I agree, and
It's
that's
like
why
we're throwing away shit that is some of the best shit that has ever come across our breeding program. We have to put back on the shelf or throw it away because it doesn't check that one box that we all know. The real guys know doesn't mean a fucking thing. We have to get away from that. Like, everyone has to play their part. It's a travesty that is where people are focused. It does not translate into your experience, your high, nothing. It is a complete line of bullshit. Please spread that message.
Yeah, we dropped a Bisconte, crossed to RS11. It was number 40. It was like 18% THC, and it did, like, I had to just get on a video and cry and sob and be like, please go buy this, but they did. People loved it. And I think, so like operators like us, you guys all in the audience, we do have to start pushing that more. I know, like, people, internally, people will be like, yeah, we should just start educating more. And I'm like, dude, shut up. We've educated till the fucking cows come home. But we do have to start doing that, like, all of us together. I think if we're together with it and just continue to kind of drop shit that's lower THC, we will be able to, like, kind of defeat that. Do you guys do strains get the same averages? People don't know this, obviously. I'll just answer this one. Strains across the states will test completely different. They do test completely different, even batch to batch in your own state. But I'm not talking like 27 versus 29 or 30. I'm talking about the strains that you test at 30% here in California will be like 19 in Arizona, and even in Florida they'll be like 22, 5% terpenes, 1% terpenes here. Like, it makes no sense. So there's no real standard. So if you didn't know that, that's something else that you have to overcome when you're going state to state. Hold on,
And that's due to lab standards. I don't think that's really like variables in the product. You know what
No,
I mean?
it isn't.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. You're right. Yeah, it's lab standards, which, they're never going to be. They're not even the same from lab to lab here in California. So getting them the same lab to lab in different states is never, that'll never happen. So again, we just really got to start pushing that narrative that, like, THC doesn't matter, and actually, put our money where our mouth is, because we all say the shit, but then we also go, you know what? It's 3%. We can't drop it. So we got to just start doing it. Caleb, as an operator, you have to build a new team in each state you go to. How do you go about doing that in a way that mitigates the risk that comes alongside not doing it yourself, as many entrepreneurs and operators would like to do?
So before I got into the legal weed business, I had an opportunity to work at a corporation. I was in the real estate business, and I worked under a really good manager, and she gave me a chance. I was a convicted felon, and it was hard for me to get my real estate license, and she knew that, but she liked me and saw potential, and she gave me a chance, and then she developed me, kind of took me on as her pet project. Like, against all odds, I shouldn't have had that opportunity. So what I took from that and then have built into Connected is a constant development program. We are always looking to build the bench and develop people internally. So when you're constantly in that mode, and that is the mindset, and then your team members feel like there is opportunity, that there is a path for growth, everyone works harder, everyone contributes, and everyone throws their hat in the ring for new opportunities. And so we've built that culture internally, and that has really helped our expansion program, right? Because people are like, "Fuck, California is killing me. I'm down to move to Florida. I'm down to move to Arizona." So we started Florida and Arizona with California transplants, and that's super helpful. Is that realistic? That's going to happen every time? No, but when you build that kind of culture internally, you have built-in loyalty. There might be room for further, like, they need to grow in the new capacity of their new job. But if you have that infrastructure that develops and makes people feel like they have a chance, and that you're going to support them through that learning process, it does wonders for you. So that's one leg, but that can't get us all the way, right? We can't pull everyone out of California or out of our other two states and put them into new places. So it's just like a rigorous recruiting process, man. Recruiting is challenging these days, but we're willing to go through 100 candidates to find the right fit. And it's not like, it's so funny. I can't count how many interviews I've been on where I'm like, okay, so I didn't even look at your resume. Tell me about yourself. Because the resume doesn't tell the story. The individual tells the story. And if they can't, build a bond with me in that time period, or whoever they're interviewing with in the company, then they're likely not going to be a good fit. So that is first and foremost. And there's also something to be said for people that are willing to get their foot in the door. And if that statement comes out, like, dude, I'll do anything. Like, I think I'm qualified for this, but I'm willing to do that to get to where I'm at. We've got people that started sweeping floors that now run their own successful flower companies outside of Connected. So the sky's the limit. We promote that. We instill that in our culture, and that allows us to build and develop new teams in new states. Along with the reputation, we have a really good reputation of treating our employees good and treating our consumers good, and that brings a lot of interest through the door. So that helps.
Similarly, Ryan, do you put boots on the ground in the states that you operate in, or do you handle everything yourself?
I mean, yeah, I don't have a team that's on my own salary in every one of the states, but I mean, in Florida we have a few brand ambassadors that was people that I worked with previously. So I mean, I try to do my best to support the retail stores. I go out a lot myself too, though.
For sure, you're doing it. I love that. Is there anything either of you would do differently if given the chance to go back to the very beginning of your brands with everything you know now? Ryan, you could start with this one.
I like how you've been giving him the questions first so I can think about my answer. I feel like I don't have a...
I've followed this guy so many times. I know that he's going to be like, I'm going to say everything good, and then you're going to be like, what do I even say now?
So, I mean, there's a lot of things I probably would have done differently, but I think it's all part of the process. I mean, it's hard to look back in hindsight. I don't really have any exact things.
Yeah.
I guess you said it one time. Like, I think there was a bunch of years that I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, and also I guess another thing was that I didn't educate myself initially on corporate business and all that kind of thing, because we didn't really know where this was going. So it was like, at first it was just like, it was more like just an identity on Instagram, a name to sell some weed. So after it started becoming more, the business is where it's at now, I had to educate myself, and I was a little behind a lot of the other people. And I feel like I made some bad decisions based off of that, bad partnerships and stuff based off of just lack of education of business structure. You know what I mean? So educate yourself in business. You know, we come from the traditional side, but it's important to understand corporate structure
I completely
as well.
agree.
I don't spend a whole lot of time looking in the rearview mirror. I don't think there's a ton of value unless you can learn something from it. So I don't think I would have done a whole lot differently. There are two things that I do think about because I do get asked this question. One is I would have gone way fucking harder. God damn. I thought I was going hard. I thought I was pushing up against the wall, but man, after I started meeting some of these LA cats that were going way fucking bigger, like, God, I really missed out. So that was one thing. That's not really related to the brand. That's more related to the duffel bags and the brown bags. But in terms of the brand, you know, one thing I think about a lot is, you know, when things went wreck, like I had all the confidence in the world running our company prior to wreck, and then when things like the fundraising ideas started coming around and the professionalization of the organization, like, you know, straight up, I didn't have the confidence. I didn't believe in myself and my ability to take us to that next level. I was overwhelmed, and I handed the keys off to someone. You know, I was standing close by, but at the end of the day, you hire someone to do a job, you got to kind of let them do the job. And in hindsight, I now that I'm in that seat and doing the CEO role, I think I definitely could have done it, and I should have done it. So whether that's reflection on like me as an individual and growth, or what would have been best for the company, I can't say. But I definitely think I should have done that.
That was a great answer. What do each of you guys do to develop yourself to be better at your jobs? How do you develop yourself to be a better leader? Caleb, this one you could start with.
I mean, I'm constantly searching out opportunities for growth, and I do it by pressing the people around me. Like when you're CEO, everyone's like, "Great job, that was so good. You should do that again." And it's just like, come on, I don't want to fucking hear that. Like, tell me the real shit. Where could I have improved? I'm always asking the people around me, like, what can I do? Give me some feedback. And it's important to constantly be self-reflecting and have a level of self-awareness that is always present. Not to the point where you're beating yourself up, but like be looking for that feedback and then have the willpower to put it into play, to listen to it. Put the ego aside and learn. Like, it's just, if you're not learning, you're dying. That's I heard that recently. Someone said, the day you think you've done it all, the day you think, you know, you've reached a point where it doesn't make sense to learn anymore, that's the day you started dying. And whether you don't die for 40 more years, your death began that day. And I'm going to live by that for the rest of my life. Like, I want to live, I want to grow, I want to share my learning and the wisdom that I've collected with my kids and my friends and my peers. And that's really what I still to this day get out of being the CEO and of Connected. Is everyone's like, oh, you must love it. I'm like, dude, this is the hardest fucking thing I've ever imagined to do. But when I get to go to work and I get to see people that I've played a role in developing their career or their lives, you know, that's where it really hits home, and that's what helps me get out of bed and deal with the constant kicks in the fucking chins that we get in this industry every day. It is never, there is rarely a sunny day in cannabis. It's fucking insane. And as soon as there is, the next day is cloudy and stormy and fucking thunder and lightning. So, yeah.
Ryan, what about you?
I mean, I think everything he said, having a beginner's mindset, but I think it's important to, like, you know, we spend a lot of energy doing what we do, like he said, so I think it's important to have rituals to, like, replenish that, you know, having good fitness routines, having good, you know, strong support, you know, strong foundation at home, which is something I'm working on, you know, so it's like, I think, like, what you do outside of this also actually can really have a big, you know, because you know, this, you said, what do you do? What was the question again?
I low-key forgot the question.
How
right in the
do
middle.
you develop yourself to be
To be a
better
better
at your
leader,
job
exactly.
and to be a better leader?
Yeah. So I was on the right
At the
track.
top
I didn't
of the
forget. I
game,
was just
you know?
making sure you remember the
Oh,
question. I
yeah,
actually
you
remembered
got
the
me with
question.
that one.
So
felt
what
that.
the you know, just it's being a better leader is, I'm not the best leader yet, but you know, just like he said, man, not having the ego, trying to make sure you get other people's opinion, you know, working with the best people. That's seems to be a common theme. But you know, replenishing your energy, making sure that you have a solid base to where people, you know, if you're coming around and you're not clear-headed, then it's hard to be able to motivate people to, you know, do what you want them to do and shit. If they're like, okay, he doesn't have his shit together. So
Yeah, for sure.
you know,
It's
just
well said.
self-improvement, man. You got to make yourself better, and it's a multifaceted concept that isn't easily spelled out. But
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's it for my questions, but I did want to get a few from the audience. If anyone in the audience has a question, raise your hand. I'll come down and give you the mic, and you can ask it to either of these guys. You can just yell it. That was one of my questions. I forgot to ask that. Do we find that in other states THC matters as much as it does in California when it comes to like buyers?
I mean, we don't have buyers in Florida, but THC to the customer seems to matter quite a bit. I mean, some of our bangers that we put out that are lower THC, they just sit. And then people buy stuff that, quite frankly, it's like, yeah, that's good, but it's like they are buying it purely for the THC percentage, and it's outselling everything 3-1. It's, you know, you can only expect that out of a rather new market. They have limited marketing potential, but it's pretty bad in Florida.
I have a question for Caleb. Actually, I never got to ask a couple questions.
Hit him up, dog.
So he don't get nervous. They're gonna be good ones, I promise.
Did
so,
you run these through my PR agent?
Yeah, I did not
Oh
run
my
these.
God.
These are not approved questions, but I'm gonna shoot them off anyway. So, the black bags that you used to use, what I always like wondered, like what because everyone was using turkeys at the time. You know what I mean? So it was like to see those was
out there.
whose idea was the black bag?
It was Big Dog's.
Oh,
Yeah,
Big
Big
Josh. I knew it was
So,
his idea. Shout out to Big Josh.
Josh
That's one of
had
the
a
most.
friend-
Hey, that's a very influential man right there.
That
He
is, bro.
He plays a big role. He's played a big role. He continues to. So he came to me one day and he's like, dude, I got this fucking friend. They're trying to sell us packaging, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look at these black bags. And I don't think at the time, maybe the first one was the right size, but I've always liked.
The ones he had were the right size. The ones you guys had were the right
eventually
size.
they
Yeah,
were, but,
yeah.
like, the
Everybody
one he
tried to get
showed
the
me-
skinny ones. Like we could never bootleg the packs because we could never find the right size bags.
God
That was
damn
the
it.
problem. That was the problem.
No, and he showed me, and I've always like I've worn black since I was a little kid. This is my uniform. I say fucking thing every day. And he had a matte black Ziploc bag, you know, so it doesn't
For
let
a pound.
For a pound, and
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah. And then we started buying them from this. What is she up? She was up in El Dorado Hills, or yeah. And it was
She
like
was a
local,
Mormon, right?
Yeah. She was local.
Those were made and those were handmade and
By Joseph Smith in Utah.
Hey, last
with
question.
no electricity was used in the making of those bags.
Yeah.
Fully sustainable.
And then it was the Avery sticker with the zebra, you know, the zebra.
Yeah, I used to try to
printer, dude.
steal the font. I was
Dude,
like, I was trying
saw
to steal
so
the
many
font and
copies
everything.
of those, and it's like, dude, that ain't that hard to copy, and people like couldn't get the font right, just a generic ass font off of Microsoft.
Somebody charged me for that font. No cap. And then also my second question is, and you know, this is in the traditional market, but back when we were all medical and everything, you did some things that could be considered, you know, disruptive to the price points at the time. And I guess what I want to know is like, because you know you ran it up. I don't know if you know that, you know, Connected had, I don't know if everyone here knows that Connected had a lot to do with a price. You know, the price points were you know. I mean, how do we get that number is what I'm getting. So it was like, just because it was 2 and it was like, I'm just going to go double? Is that what it was? It was like, was it just...
How did you move
Was
it? From
was
2
it
to
just, I'm going
4?
to go double? Was that...
dude. Well,
Because that was the first time I heard those kind of numbers, and you know, sure enough, that was the numbers. So, and it was like that sustained for years. And I feel like even till, if you look at where we're at now with our wholesale price points now, you know, the things have came down with the market, but that $4,000 price point sustained for years, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you set a standard for that. And I remember, like, you know, watching from the outside in, and Burns said it one time on one of the old, you know, when he was working with you guys, and he's like, I don't know if you know, the pounds of this are going for $4,000. And we were, you know, we were watching from the outside like, nah, that's crazy. There's no way. We're paying $2,022 for shit. So, you know,
Well, when fools are putting it on their shelf for 120 an eighth over in fucking Spain and Amsterdam, that
supply
sure
and demand.
That
Supply
sure as
and
fuck
demand.
helped. But it was a couple of things. We started at 36. Like the first packs that we sold out of our own network of the gelatos went to Green Wolf, and I wanted 4, but I felt like 4 was like a little too much, so I hit them with the 36, and they took them, and then they really helped set the standard.
I see that.
And then the volume, like the requests just keep coming in, but it really goes back to, I paid, back in college, it was really hard for me to find indoor packs. And I met this dude named Dylan from Humboldt, and he would come through with these like lightly, touched lavender purple packs, and they were 4K.
4K.
And I bought them, and I knew
Dylan set the price point for decades to come.
Yeah,
Dylan
and I
doesn't
knew
even...
I was breaking them down and barely making 200, 300, but it was worth it to have that quality. So I was like, fuck this guy. I was so mad at him, but I had to keep buying the weed because I couldn't find anything better.
That was me with you 10 years later.
Yeah. But also the OGs back in the day, the first OGs packs I got were 38, 44, 42. And it's like, that shit pissed me off too. And that was because those cuts were limited and you couldn't get them. And that's what we had, is we had the most limited, the most unique, the hottest, most hype shit. Not to mention we're paying Burner 100 racks a month. We got to make that shit back somehow.
Sheesh.
So 4K was the number. And then I remember we started working with Elliot when we were helping run Elliot's dispensaries. We were selling them to the store for $4,000. He's like, you're fucking ripping us off. This is bullshit. I was like, dude, we could sell these anywhere. This is when we couldn't keep enough, And so people have always not believed it and been mad about it. And
That was the price, I can confirm.
just got to do it.
All right, well, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. I hope that you walk away from this having learned something new, or with a new admiration for both these operators and their brands. Give them a round of applause.
Thanks for sitting through it, guys. Appreciate the support.
We got 2 more of these tomorrow right here on this very stage. One at 2:45 with Anna Wiley, CEO and founder of CAM, and then at 5:45 with Nima Samari, who is the founder and CEO of CBX. So thank you guys again for coming out. Much appreciated.